who do you take inspiration from right now?
The first one I want to mention is actually an Austrian. We have one. In Austria, there is a bishop called Andreas Laun. He's the auxiliary bishop of Salzburg, and he was, for me, always a good example because he was always courageous for the pro-life and pro-family matter and for the Catholic teaching. But if you look on a broader view, and if you look all over the world, I have 2, 3, 4 high clergymen I really admire. The first one is Auxiliary Bishop Athanasius Schneider. I think for me, he's a hero. He's I think, one of the best, if not the best living clergyman I know.
I agree.
He's completely honest. He's a real fighter, and he's completely humble. I will tell you a little bit more about him later, what I experienced when I visited him personally in Kazakhstan. I had the pleasure to meet him a few times, and I really think he's fantastic. And then also from your country, the fantastic His Eminence Cardinal Raymond Burke.
Yes.
He's also enormously courageous, and of course I admire them because it shows me that God would never let his church down. He always gives us fighters. He will never let us completely down. He will give us people who lead the way and who really follow him and who are humble. Because that's what I admire most about those 2 clergymen, those 2 bishops and the cardinal, that they are so humble. And then there are 2 Germans I admire too. Cardinal Walter Brandmüller. He's really a fantastic guy. If you know the German way of thinking, I'm an Austrian, so in Austria we speak German too, and we have, of course, we're part of the whole Holy Roman Empire. And as you might know, Austria was founded as a country by the Bavarians to defend us against the pagan Hungarians back then. we turned out to be best friends and to even have an empire together. So it's now a quite good connection we have to the Hungarians. So Cardinal Brandmüller is a professor from Germany, and I love this. He's really a professor, and he knows what he's talking about. He has a good fundament, and now he got on my screen somehow in the last years, and I'm very happy about him. Cardinal Müller. Cardinal Müller also is not afraid. He just gives interviews about things, and if he's asked the questions, he always gives us a straight Catholic answer. And this is really refreshing because in the past, in Germany, it was not that easy. And now we have even 2 German cardinals. And I'm very proud because Bishop Schneider has German roots too, as you might know. That's the reason his last name is Schneider. He's a so-called Black Sea German. And his mother tongue is German. That's the reason I'm very happy to talk with him. If I talk with him personally, I talk with him in my mother language and his mother language. It's very nice.
Yes.
These are one. And then, but I don't want to make a cut here. I tell you something, to be honest, there are a few more. There's Bishop Huonder in Switzerland. There's Archbishop Haas in Vaduz. So they all speak German. They are all out of our circles, and I really love them. We have fantastic other American bishops. I can't name them all, but often I read some statements, and I'm really amazed that we have so much power still left and even growing. We have a fantastic Cardinal Eek in the Netherlands. We have Cardinal Ranjit in Sri Lanka, who, even though he now is very much into caring for Sri Lanka alone and for the diocese there, but he's also a very pious and very courageous man. And we have a few bishops in South America, a few in Asia, for example, the Cardinal, I think his name is Sen from China, who really, really fights against the communists there, and who's really a hero in my eyes. So there is not only one star on my heaven. We have still a few left, not a few, very much actually. Yeah. Many.
Well, you're basically reading my mind. These, I think, especially with Schneider. Have you read Schneider's new book? Have you seen his new book?
I already saw it. I didn't read it yet, but
I've started reading it, and I've begun to weep 2 times reading it, especially the biography part of the first portion of the book, to read what he went through as a young man in the Soviet Union, what his grandparents and his parents went through, and how tenaciously they held to the Catholic faith,
Yes.
traveling hours by train to go to a mass, not having masses for sometimes a whole year.
And then, a spiritual communion, and if they have the Christmas party all together, they sat down, all the German Catholics in the house, prayed, got on their knees, connected themselves with a holy mass being celebrated on another part of the earth.
Yes.
Had all the spiritual communion, prayed together the rosaries. It's such an amazing thing. And what I loved most about his story and his biography is that when he was a little child, he does not remember it, but he knows it because his family told him. There was, I think, I don't remember his name now, but there is a blessed priest,
yes,
which was killed by the communists. And he celebrated the Mass, and Bishop Schneider has, a basket where he was lying in, and
yes,
the basket has a grip, and on the grip there was the glove to clean the hands of the priests.
Yes, near the altar.
Yes, so it was the first time he served Mass.
Yes, and that's right. He served Mass as a baby.
Yes, it's really fantastic. I really admire him.
He is a true saint. I sense he is and will be the Athanasius of our time. Just as there was an Athanasius under the Arians, there is an Athanasius now under the modernists. And he married you.
Yes.
Yes.
Actually, it's a great honor for us. It was a great honor. He is, I can tell you the story. 1.5 years before my wedding, it was exactly in the week after I got engaged. I was at a conference which I organized with friends of mine from Germany, and we had a wonderful medieval castle which was renovated in the Renaissance time, but in a very beautiful way. It's a water castle, so you had the castle and then some walls around and two big water moat around it. Was really fantastic. And he was there and celebrated Mass every day and gave us fantastic speeches. And we had a wonderful evening with him praying together in the chapel, where he said, if you all want to do me a big favor, please sing with me all the German songs we sung when I was a child back then in the communist time. And we sung them with them because they are our songs. That's the one we sing back home. And it was really fantastic. And then I talked to him, and I thought it came into my mind like, just like a lightning. He's the one my fiancée would love. He's the one. She's a very pious woman, and she would love him. So I asked him, and he said, if you want that, I would do it. We just have to talk about when it happens and if I have the time, but I will do it. But I want to invite you both to Kazakhstan, so to meet you both and to go with you through marriage preparation. In Austria, we have the duty to do a marriage preparation, because in Austria, the Catholic, you are not allowed to marry as a Catholic if you don't get an accepted marriage preparation by the church, which is actually a good thing. And I had a quite nice one. I don't want to talk badly about it. It was not the best one, but it was quite nice. But what we had in Kazakhstan with Bishop Schneider was over the top.
You had your marriage prep done by Athanasius Schneider.
I'm very glad to announce that, yes.
And he's the one who celebrated your nuptial mass.
No, that was not possible. He celebrated the wedding,
I see,
but not the nuptial mass, because there's a big problem in this diocese where we married, it's south of Vienna, with traditional masses. And if he would have been the one celebrating, the bishop would have made very, very, very big problems.
I see.
And that's the reason he married us. And then a friend of us celebrated, as a priest friend of us celebrated the mass. It was a wonderful high mass, sung high mass. It was really wonderful. And the bishop celebrated privately every day. But I had the very great honor to attend 3 masses at the day of my marriage. I attended first the Mass of Bishop Schneider, then the Mass of another priestly friend of us, and then my own marriage Mass. So it was actually a very fantastic day. And Bishop Schneider is, for me, really the example for a Catholic. He is the Catholic example for me. When I was in Kazakhstan, we traveled through the country with him. And of course, the media, the leftist media, always wants to show, that Cardinal Berg and Bishop Schneider They love being on stage. They love wearing fancy clothes and so on. I visited Kazakhstan. I know how Bishop Schneider lives. If all that leftists who tell that would live the way he lives, they would never ever say this again. He has a very, very easy life. He has a very small room in Astana and celebrates there every day the mass in the church next to it normally, and then he has tons of churches and monasteries and communities where he watches over them. So he goes with his own car, he drives in his car through the country, visits them, gives them the blessings, talks to them, hears confession and everything. So he lives in a way, he's a bishop and a real shepherd. So he has his sheep and he knows them all by their name. And if someone gets lost, he really goes after him. And he led us to the National Shrine of Kazakhstan, where we met some wonderful sisters of Carmelites. How do you say that? Carmelites, I think.
Carmelite, yes.
Carmelite sisters, which were wonderful, fantastic young nuns. We had the pleasure to talk to the Mother Superior there. It was really fantastic. And then he showed us the churches where he had the possibility to fund them, to get all the money, to gather the money for them to be built, so that there is no debt on the diocese there. And the churches there are wonderful.
Yes.
They are, I think, the most beautiful built in a modern time churches I know. I heard that there are a few others now being built around the world, especially in the United States, what I heard, and I'm very happy about that. But I have to admit, imagine Kazakhstan. There's only one really old city, which is in the south, it's Almaty, and the rest are former gulags. You go there, every city you have there is a former gulag, because the Kazakh people were wanderers, as they were traveling around and so they were nomads. And all the cities now are based on gulags. And he showed us a few gulags, and it was terrible for us. And he showed us the relicts of the martyr priests, and he showed us all of that. And he is so into it. I was really amazed, and I can only tell all his enemies, go there, visit him there, and then try to say something against him. I think it is impossible.
It is. I was with His Excellency Athanasius Schneider 2 weekends ago, spent time with him, attended his pontifical mass. I'll be with him again this weekend.
Oh, wonderful.
Everything that you say, I agree with. He is quiet. He is humble. It's amazing how often he stops to pray. And this is not a show. I've been around cardinals and bishops and all that, and you quickly figure out who has a show. This man does not have a show. As you say, he is humble, he is poor, and he lives like a man who has nothing to lose and only to gain Christ. He reminds me of a humble and more quiet version of St. Paul, the apostle.
I have nothing more to add.
Yes.